I want you to remember what you're doing. We could create as many of these memories as we can possibly, and I can deal with maybe 1.5 usually. But let's try this. This is memory 1, right? Okay. Keep going. Usually with this I would do 4 beats. So I give you guys a tempo. Keep going, sounds great. This is a tempo fade, right? And this is a hard one too, because you really got to adjust and listen to everybody. So I jump in the box. Do I go on the road? Right. This means change. Right. Change your part slightly. Wow. So there are all kinds of content gestures. This means, in the world of sound painting, it means improvise, right? And that means make up whatever you want. You're on your own to do whatever you want. Generally speaking, when we're sound painting, Walter talks of 3 different sort of development levels of an idea, right? For instance, this means words, right? And so if somebody was sound painting me, and somebody said long tone with words, right? Go, and I might say this, 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 I might say this. And so what I'm doing is taking a small idea and developing it, not telling a story, right? But a sort of gradual rate of development of that idea. When you're improvising, you can do whatever you want, right? Anyway, another gesture, another sort of content gesture is called shape line. We did a little bit of this. Oh, yeah. This is a funny looking one. It looks like that. That's the gesture. And what that means is you musically interpret my movements. Okay? So let's do this. Oh, I'm sorry. I should explain a little bit more, right? And that is, this is how we get out of shape line. We stop like this, because if I give you more gestures, you'll interpret those, right? So if I do this, that means we're not doing shape line anymore, okay? So, and if I'm not moving, don't do anything. Now, a sort of variation of that, which I think is also useful for ensemble directors, is called shape line conductor, right? Which means I'm just going to conduct as if I'm looking at a score, and your job is to make it up as if you're reading music somehow. Okay, so let's try this. Let's see what happens. Okay. You may have seen me do this with Lena.
Oh yeah.
This is the funniest looking one, right? You want to demonstrate?
Oh yeah.
I figured. Oh yeah. this is extended techniques, right? So this is another one, obviously, that we like to do, which is find different ways of putting our instruments together and seeing what kind of sounds we can make, right? So you want to do it? Do it. The point is, obviously, again, we're opening up the sort of palette of sounds available and new ways of learning to work with the instruments and finding out what the instruments do, as well as finding how our bodies interact with the instruments, too, which I think is also perhaps equally valuable. We're learning how to play better and learning how the mechanism affects what we play and how it works, right? Let's see, what else should we do here?
Oh, I have a question for you.
Yes, yeah.
Do you ever let the kids conduct?
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you said that, because I think, do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Here, let's do this. Lucas, you can be over here. Yeah. Now, remember, we haven't seen too many gestures here, so.
We'll keep it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yes, and I think that is another one of the great strengths of sound painting is that after a few of these sessions, and this is taught in schools in France, in Germany, in Spain. There's a class at the Paris Conservatory in sound painting. But one of the beautiful things is, you can spend a few hours with kids like this, and they can get up in front of a band and create pieces with form, with melodies, with rhythm, with time, with all that stuff, without having to notate stuff, that is really hard to write all that stuff out. And these guys can do it, and their colleagues are co-creators at the same time. Can you do it? 3 minutes. 3 minutes worth. So you can get any musical element you want, specify things. If you need to focus on melody, if you need to focus on certain rhythmic things, if you need to focus on intonation, you can use sound painting to do that. One of the cool things about sound, yes?
How do you work with people who have developmental disabilities and don't move so quickly?
Well,
or interpret things?
I think you just go slow. I don't know. I haven't had that experience. I know Walter has, so he would be able to answer that more directly. I think you would just slow down, basically, and take a little bit more time.
Take two or three things.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly.
Can I answer that question?
Okay, sure.
There's a lot of development in computer or technology-assisted improvisation with kids. So even kids with very minimal movement, they'll put a webcam on the kid and like a red dot on their nose and a midline. And if that kid can just move their nose the slightest bit, they can improvise through computer-assisted technology. It's incredible.
But if you don't have that, I'm a music therapist. I work with people in wheelchairs. I work with people who move, people who don't move, people who rock. A lot of them rock. A
Well,
lot.
the composer who developed this, she's made it free as a shareware thing. So she wants people, and if you just have a computer with a webcam, you can do it. Which all computers do now.
Okay.
I think sound painting is really, really flexible, you know, and I think you could adapt it very easily to whatever situation you might be working on. Yeah.
So, and also, in what Walter Thompson has done is, like, I saw one where there was a Shakespearean troupe. So it's not terribly limited. I've used it in my music history classes, which usually shocks and sends some students a little over the edge, but it teaches things in a different manner. And it gives people a brain break at the same time. So it works on so many different levels.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, another really fabulous thing about sound painting is that it's truly multidisciplinary. And in Walter's orchestra, he has actors and dancers and visual artists simultaneously on stage responding to the same gestures as the musicians do. Now, if you can imagine that, I can't begin to describe it. But you see it, it's like, wow, what is going on? Because the actors, you know, they'll interrupt themselves and they'll be sort of starting to tell a story, and then they'll do something weird to respond to what Walter's, you know, gestured to them, and the dancers get up and they're interacting with musicians in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's really fascinating and something like I've never seen.
One of the things that fascinates me about this in terms of what I'm doing is that one of my challenges is to get people, I do groups, okay, to get the people in the group to respond to each other.
Aha, sure.
And this would be a really great way to get them to because then they know what's happening. Because you can do something simple and they know it's predictable. That you can do something.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's,
I'm wondering if you ever use actual painting, because in my work with children, I've actually tried doing this, where I actually have.
I haven't done that myself.
Painting
But I know Walter
to
has.
music, and then using their paintings as a source of improvisation.
As a score of some kind or some, yeah.
Using the colors and the textures
uh-huh.
as translated in
Absolutely.
musical.
I know that Walter's done it. I haven't done it myself.
Well.
But yeah, that's what I mean. And one of the things too that you can do, one of the gestures is palette, which is this, right? And in sound painting, what that means is any sort of predetermined something. It could be prose, it could be dance, it could be, you know, go to the store.
Song?
It could be a song, it could be a rhythm, it could be a chord progression, it could be anything, literally anything you want. For instance, just about out of time. We talked about having a palette today of animal noises, right? So I'll do one more gesture. This is scanning. What this means is when this part of my arm is pointed at you, then you make noise. You do whatever has been indicated, right? When I'm not pointed at you, then you stop, okay? So here's what this would look like. Everybody scanning with palette 1. Palette 1 is animal noises. We've decided that, right? We could decide on anything. So. See? So then you can do this. You can do it with 2 arms. Keep going. Do it. Right, and I can stop. You guys keep going. Everybody else. Everybody improvise with palette 1. Animal noises. Go. One more. This means laugh.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you so much.